Just to start out, really proud of our football team. I thought we showed some backbone. You know, coming in at halftime, we were reeling a little bit. That was not a good second quarter, and we weren't slowing them down at all. And offensively, we got out of a rhythm. I thought we beat ourselves a few times in the first half with really poor penalties and, you know, the one pick. And, you know, again, I thought our defensive staff made some really good adjustments at halftime, and our players executed it to their credit. And offensively, again, we need to be balanced. We got a little bit of a run game going, and you know, just to come from behind against such a well-disciplined team, and certainly to win the fourth quarter like we did. And sometimes I think players, they work so hard this summer, and when they don't see the results, you know, they wonder, geez, we put in all that work, why? And it's a game like this is why. You know, you work hard in the summer, you condition hard so that you can win the fourth quarter in tight games. So again, we have a lot of work to do. We got a lot of progress that we got to make, but I'm really proud of our football team tonight, and we're going to enjoy this one. It feels good to get a win.
Coach, your defense pitched a shutout there in the second half, and obviously that was key for you guys to get this win. What did you do differently after halftime? Well,
they were running a lot of, you know, they run their traditional veer, and then they run a lot of what you call the trap option series. And our backers were really getting hung up on the backs, and they weren't seeing the guard pulls. And in the second half, we did a little better job of seeing the guards pull, and you know, we weren't getting anybody on the perimeter, so they were faking that dive, and the quarterback was getting on the edge, and we were playing the pitch, and we didn't have a quarterback player. I think the quarterback had, you know, 80, 90 yards at the half. And you know, we were trying to defend that inside out, and in the second half, we did a better job of getting there.
On the flip side, your offense was able to get the running game going, a lot of draw plays that pretty much helped. You talked about that last week as far as switching that up.
Yeah, I said that we were going to maybe have to run some non-traditional runs, and if you're not knocking people off the ball, sometimes you know, the draw plays give you some vertical leverage. You know, you get the tackles up the field.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's Time Warner, that's yours.
Yeah.
Okay. My internet went out last week.
I'll pass that message along.
You know, sometimes when you run the drop plays, you know, we throw the ball so much you can get the tackles up the field, and I don't want to say you don't have to execute as well, but there's less critical blocks at the point of attack you have to win, and I thought that helped us.
With 7 minutes to go, and you're inside the 10, did the thought occur that might be your last offensive possession with their propensity? You know, they could run 7 minutes off the clock and force you run.
Yeah, it was, but we were playing better in the second half, and you know, the hard decision was going to be on fourth down: do you try to score a touchdown or you kick the field goal? Because again, our defense played much better in the second half, and I'm glad I didn't have to make that decision.
And Coach, your defense really kind of held them in check, like the first part of the game, and the 4th and 1 they converted. After that, they just kind of trucked right on down the field. Was that like a big turning point, maybe?
Yeah, well, again, they you know, what those teams do is they probe you. You know, they get in their double slot and they motion, and they see how you handle the motion, and then they see how you handle the unbalanced, and then they see how you handle, you know, they went with a package today that they put 6 offensive linemen in there. And they're, you know, they run their offense over and over and over, and he's done it for 20 years, so he knows it. So they probe you, and then they'll start pulling guards to see if your linebackers are keying the backs or keying the guards. And at some point, they probe you and they find something they like, and they run it and run it and run it until you stop it. And you know, that's what they did. And they had something that they liked, and they kept going to it and going to it. They kept running the trap and then the trap option. And that was where we kind of had to settle our guys at halftime a little bit. And you know, you go into a game, and you know, what percentage of practice do you spend on what they're going to run, and you really don't know what they're going to run. And that became a major kind of the way they were attacking us. And again, I thought our staff made good adjustments, and our players, to their credit, executed it.
Your 21 did a good job, I thought, picking the right hole. Most of the time when he ran, he was shooting in the right spot.
Yeah, he's done a nice job in practice. And last week was the first time that he really played a lot of snaps for us. And he looked like last week like a freshman who was playing a lot of snaps for the first time. He seemed anxious. Some of those cuts he made last week, he's never done that in practice. And I really just thought, okay, he has a game under his belt. We'll get him back in there. And you know, you don't do that in practice so well and then suddenly lose it in a game unless you got nerves and butterflies, and that's understandable. He's a true freshman. And we just said be the same back in the game that you are in practice. That's the back we're playing, and I think he really settled down the day and had good vision, protected the football, pushed the pile, and that first down near the end of the game was a critical play.
You mentioned the conditioning you did in the summertime. I kept watching your defense, and you played pretty much the same people throughout. How big a concern was that as many plays as they played out there?
Well, it was a concern, and then at halftime, they had the ball for 20, 21 minutes,
Right.
but we only played 36 snaps of defense.
Okay.
So I had the same thing, and I went to Coach Elko. I said, hey, are we rolling people? He said, they've only played 34, 35 plays. And, so it wasn't, they huddle, they take their time, they wear out the clock. So even though the time of possession was so unbalanced, our guys didn't, they did not play that many plays.
Okay, that explains it.
You saw that time of possession too, huh?
Right,
Yeah, I thought we played like 45, 50 plays at the half, and I looked at the halftime stats, and it was 36, 20 minutes. I mean, that's not spread up-tempo offense.
KJ okay? Because he came out a second time.
Yeah, I think he's okay. His arm, he really made a great knife tackle.
Yes, he did.
And he bruised his arm a little bit, and then the other time I think it was cramps. So.
There were several screen passes today. Can you talk about the reason for that? Trying to compensate for lack of run game?
Slow down the pass rush. I told you last week we really looked hard at what we're doing, and it's a little bit of a catch-22. We are trying to build a program, and we want to run the things on offense that we're going to run as a program for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And at the same token, we've got to give our guys things that they can be successful with. And some of those screens is just to discourage blitz a little bit. And we ran them twice, it wasn't good, and then we hit a third down to Crump when we caught him in blitz. And that might have been as big a play as there was in the football game. I think it was 3rd and 12, and we threw the screen to Crump, and we caught him in blitz, and we blocked the perimeter well, and he split it, and that was a big play for us.
Considering the deception your team was facing, how difficult was it for them to play as clean of a game as they did from a penalty standpoint?
Yeah, my standards are high with the penalties, and so I don't feel like that was a clean game. I hate procedures. I hate personal fouls. Those are just, you're going to have those aggressive penalties. Maybe you have a pass interference that has guys going aggressively after the ball, but those to me are all mental error penalties. They're lack of focus, lack of discipline penalties. And again, there's good penalties and bad penalties. The procedures, the personal fouls, and again, the rest of the operation was a lot cleaner. But I'm a coach, and I'm going to look at what we didn't do well, and we want to play that perfect game, and we got a ways to go. But those are things I'd still nitpick a little bit and say I think we got to get better at that.
I picked up a couple third-down conversions on your last touchdown drive. Is that maybe one of the bigger signs of progress?
Yeah, but I think also our offensive line played better. They really did. I thought this was the best our offensive line played all year. We had balance. We ran the football. We protected well. We gave John time in the pocket. That one third down we hit E.J. Scott on was a huge play. I thought he had all day on that one. Even the one early that we dropped, he had all day on that one. So, and that was an advantage we should have going into the game. I mean, we've got some big guys up there, and Army plays an undersized movement defense, and you would hope if we can get our paws on them that we could protect a little bit, and we did that.
It's funny. John Wolfer's his 4th game of college football, and he was 25 of 35 tonight, 238 yards. We haven't asked him about him yet, so it's like we're getting accustomed to that kind of stuff.
It's coming.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to talk to him soon.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know.
We haven't even asked about Wolford yet.
And he's so efficient, and he's just he's a cool-headed customer.
Yeah.
He really is. And the other thing that's I think impressive is as much as that kid has got hit last week, you would think he'd be jittery in the pocket, and that's when I say a quarterback has courage. He's been hit. I mean, some of the hits he took in the 4th quarter last week, and he doesn't flinch. And that ball he threw to E.J. Scott on the 3rd down, that was a laser dart under pressure. That was an impressive throw.
Help me with the timeout with 58 seconds left. Why was the clock not moving?
Well, we had that you can't lose your helmets. And so what happens is when we lost our helmet, that stops the clock. So we were going to be able to take a knee.
Right.
And then we lost our helmet, and that stopped the clock. And then, we have the whole chart about what we need to do and when we can take a knee and when we have to run a play. And when that happened, it was 58 seconds, it was third down. And so now we're saying, okay, we can take 40 between the plays. Can we get this thing down to 3, 2, 1? So we ran a kind of a slow developing play and told Isaiah to kind of bounce it and protect the football. And then John, on that last snap, we had 7 seconds. So we took a knee, we backed up, and we were just trying to eat time. And and I took the timeout because the clock wasn't going to start. The clock, and I wanted to tell the players, okay, the strategy is now changing. We were going to take a knee because the clock stopped on the helmet coming off. We now have to run an offensive play. There's 18 seconds now that we've got to eat up between 2 football plays, and that's hard to do. Usually most plays are somewhere between 6 and 8. So I just hoped if we could run slower plays, we could take off 16 and leave them with 2, and then it's a 1-play game, and our calculation was I think pretty close to being on.
How happy were you with the run game? Isaiah Robinson and Norwood both had.
I'm just happy anytime we get a 4-yard play. I really am. I mean, it's just, and again, the whole thing is, it's about getting better. It really is. I mean, we got to get better, and we got to get our offensive line some confidence, and we've got to give them things that they can do well. And those guys, they're not proud of our run numbers, and they're not proud of our sack numbers, and those guys right now should feel really good about themselves. They worked hard this week in practice. There's a lot of blitzes, Army runs, and a lot of mental gymnastic that goes into picking them up, and they did a great job. They picked them up, and so as much as that group has been criticized, and in some ways deservedly so, I think they deserve a lot of credit for the way they played tonight.
You're going to go on the road for a while now. You won't be back home, I think, on the 18th of October.
Yes.
So how does this give you a little boost of confidence now that you got this?
Yeah, these next 2 games are I mean, this is the easy part of the schedule coming up, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, we play 2 national powers the next 2 weeks, and those are great programs, But with where we are and as hard as our players are worked, we're going to enjoy this. And what this win does is it helps next week's practice. There's no question. When you win, there's a little bit more of a little more pep in your step. I mean, you saw me come up these stairs a little faster than I did a week ago. And the same is true with the players, that when you work hard, you want to be rewarded. And we know we have some challenges ahead of us, and we know we have some tough games, but we're going to enjoy tonight, and they deserve it.